Yes. Gambler is at it again. I thought I was done with homeboy, but he keeps posting to my pages. In an effort to force my hand, I guess. Well, it worked. This is the gem of a comment that made me just have to respond. No one who actually understands the discipline of historical scholarship believes that Jesus never existed, insinuating I don't know what I'm talking about. Unfortunately for Einstein Jr. here, it's never occurred to him that I've never brought up a subject. Everything I've ever written to him has been a rebuttal to the crap he believes he understands. Be that as it may, here's the response I sent to him. If their evidence for Jesus' existence is the evidence you gave me in my video, gamble or re-upload a final crushing intro and subscriber acknowledgement, then only a person that actually understands the discipline of historical scholarship would buy the crap. By the way, you love quoting other people for the origin of your beliefs. So I simply must ask, in your mind, what exactly is a scholar? Not a religious scholar, just in general. There are many religious scholars that believe Muhammad rode a flying horse chicken with butterfly wings and a human woman's head to heaven. To give a synopsis of why Gambler believes Jesus exists, it's because Jesus is mentioned in the Bible. Pure and simple. That's it. He didn't take a crack at disproving what scholars believe about Muhammad. So for this particular Christian, special pleading is fully an honorable occupation. Unlike the distribution of porn, for instance. Though he didn't mention Muhammad, he did have this to say. The issue of the existence of the man Jesus in first century Palestine is not an issue debated among historians, period. Here's my reply. Historians or religious historians. You're right, any true historian wouldn't waste their time. Are religious historians and religious scholars the same thing? And as I asked you above, what's a scholar? I got this. Bart Ehrman is one of many scholars in the field that acknowledge the existence of Jesus. To him I said, Bart Ehrman, did I ask you to tell me the name of people that believe Jesus existed? I already have yours. What is a scholar? His answer, a scholar is an individual that specializes in a specific field of study. A historian is a scholar in history. Interesting, but this still doesn't tell me what a scholar that is religious has studied to prove to him or her that his beliefs are justified. So I asked him, and how do you become a specialist in a particular field? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's by reading, learning, memorizing, and studying all available information on that specialty. So, if this is how you become a religious scholar, historian, what exactly is on the curriculum for such a distinction? And so you don't go there, please don't tell me it's all the stuff other people wrote claiming Jesus existed, and that all you have to do is accept it to become a religious scholar. He responded with, there are atheists that are religious scholars. Religious scholarship has nothing to do with belief, and neither does historical scholarship. All I had to tell him was, ooh, thanks for the news. I said, don't tell me that's how you make a religious scholar, historian. He also said, a historian would look at the texts and artifacts of a given time and accounts of events of the time, etc. So I had this. Look at the texts and artifacts of a given time and accounts of events of that time, etc. And which one of these has proven to you your favorite religious scholar is correct in accepting that Jesus existed? Apparently I got his goat because he told me, my favorite religious scholar. I haven't appealed to any religious scholars. I've appealed to an historian. There are almost no historians that believe Jesus didn't exist. I challenge you to find a single reputable historian that believes Jesus did not exist. I responded with, my bad, I didn't know you were saying historians aren't scholars. I challenge you to find a single reputable historian that believes Jesus did not exist. Yet you also said there are almost no historians that believe Jesus didn't exist. So evidently I don't have to find one, unless you're insinuating only that theist, historians, scholars, or whatever you're talking about now, are reputable. Since I've lost track of what you're referring to, how about you answer this in any way you like? And which one of these has proven to you your favorite religious scholar is correct in accepting that Jesus existed? That's when he told me, and I guess it's all a joke to him, I'm resisting the urge to modify your question. So because Christians will be Christians, I told him, I'll be more than happy to allow one change. If you want to say that these scholars believe there was an actual guy named Jesus without magic powers, that performed none of the magical feats attributed to him in the Bible, that was not born through a union with a god and some virgin, and only traipsed the land, changing the Jewish belief system to what he wanted, I'm more than happy with that change. All you have to do now is attribute all these changes to one person, and not a bunch of stuff floating around the ancient world that was conglomerated into one guy named Jesus. To that his true Christian nature came out. Accept this or you're stupid. There it was for the world to see as he wrote me. See my response to CS Now YouTube. The historical Jesus and the Jesus of Christianity are two different things. To deny the existence of historical Jesus is only a demonstration in either ignorance or, if you've actually researched the topic, stupidity. Wow. If you don't accept the existence of Jesus with absolutely nothing to back it up, you're either ignorant, stupid, or gambler. I guess that means he's neither ignorant nor stupid. He's in a class all his own. I couldn't let his other dementia slide on this one, so I wrote back, then I'm stupid or you're an ignorant buffoon. Take your pick. If this is simply your way of saying you can't prove the existence of such a well-known, non-miraculous guy, I accept that, because you can't prove the existence of a well-known miraculous guy. I also told him, all this means is don't question, accept, which is utter stupidity. If I lived my life that way, I'd be consulting tarot cards. I gather being a Christian, that's something you also don't do. Unfortunately for you, you don't know why. He said, how does that mean don't question? If someone broke your window and you saw a group of witnesses outside and had each of them put into separate rooms and then questioned them, and each one of their accounts corroborated on who the perpetrator was except one, but they all blamed this guy whose account was different, would it still be up to debate who broke your window? Well, I guess the kid forgot we're talking about his religion. So I told him, unfortunately for you, the only supposed evidence you have is people writing that people saw these things. And in addition to that, no one interviewed these people. These people made no witness statements written down. There is no evidence these people existed. The people making up this story never met a one of them. He went on, what on earth are you talking about? All you need to prove that someone existed is two independent sources that are written about the figure that correspond with one another. The chess match began. Think 4 or 5 moves ahead or you're done. I told him, really? Wow, I guess Hercules existed. He retorted, we have no independent sources of Hercules. Do you know what an independent source is? I said, yes, but just so we're on the same page, how about you tell me what you believe one is? I exclusively use theist criteria for any argument. He came back. An independent source is a primary document that does not rely on a separate source for its information. To that I had to say, if there are no such documents on Hercules, well, primary document is the key word here. What is that? To which I wanted to hear him say, they are the only 2 documents that exist that he can use to prove the existence of Jesus and the truth of Eastern Orthodoxy. He didn't. No matter, chess games can go on for hours. Instead, he sent this. The mythology figure of Hercules has only one primary source that was built on and loads of secondary sources. We believe that Hercules was not real because we have no 2 accounts that are primary that we can compare for corroboration. The Gospels themselves are testimonies. They are accounts of events. In the historical community, the 4 Gospels afford us 2 independent source documents, Mark and John. I told him, so let me see if we're on the same page. One person wrote a story about a guy they never met, Heracles, so he's not real. 2 guys wrote a story about a guy they never met, Jesus, and it's true. Kind of like a guy asking 3 people what 6 plus 2 is. One says 4, 2 say 9. The guy goes with 9. Look, dude, you're rehashing. See my video, down below, re-upload a final crushing intro and subscriber acknowledgement for the context of these remarks. You told me you believe God exists because you believe Jesus existed. You told me you believe Jesus existed because people wrote about it in a book God didn't send to them. But they were inspired to write because they came up with the notion a God exists because people are moral. And it's impossible to be moral without a God. I don't know if you see this, but the bottom line is you believe Jesus existed because his name's in a book. You keep saying the same thing. This is not evidence for anything. So he told me, no, your mathematical analogy falls apart by way of demonstration. If one can demonstrate that 2 people can give the same story independent of one another, it lends credence to the account. None of what you said makes any sense. It's no wonder your videos about our conversation need constant revision and clarification. You don't pay close enough attention. Well, before I get to my response to this, I'll remind you that I reminded him that there were no witness statements written down for any of these accounts. So apparently his attention span is far worse than mine. So checkmate came with this. If you can tell me what the name of the people that wrote Mark or John is, I'd be happy to continue with this topic. He had no answer. My rebuttal was, so you don't know who wrote them, can't prove who wrote them, don't know when they were written, and don't know if they were independent of each other. That means you can't prove that they are primary source documents. Now that you've proven, using your criteria exclusively, that either Jesus did not exist or that Heracles does, if you still believe your God exists, would you like to discuss the motivations of your God, specifically why he created you? Yes, I like to give a guy a chance, so I allowed him one more move before I took his king away from him. He said, why God created anything is a completely different discussion. We can get to that, but let's finish with the issue about historical methodology first. Sore loser. I told him, I'm done with that. He wrote, okay, since we're moving to the motivation God has for creation, would you like the answer to that as written in the Bible, or the answer to that according to the church? I wrote back the only answer that exists for an atheist, as stated by your God. He said, God has made no statement on the matter. Then that puts an end to the conversation. I told him. So Gambler, if your God is the chicken that laid the golden Jesus, then you'd have to prove your God's existence first. I know this sounds ludicrous to you, asinine, stupid, but let me finish. You're going about this ass backwards. You're attempting to prove the existence of your God by proving the existence of Jesus. You see, without evidence of the first cause, you can't prove the second, or anything that came after that. That is why you've proven the existence of Heracles in an attempt to prove that of Jesus. Without evidence of the first, you have none.